Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, yam, puke. Fucking puke. Here we are. Why are you listening? Why? Go somewhere. There's so many other podcasts that you should be listening to. Stop listening to the same music that you listened to in high school on fucking repeat and go search a way to be informed about something. Well, Shaw, you're informing us about movies, right? I am, but they're movies. Go out and learn some science or something. Learn some philosophy, something, anything. But no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. We're talking about a cult classic today. A cult classic. I had never seen it, and when I sat down to watch it and I finished it, I swear, like, especially like amongst some of my older friends, I am definitely pigeonholed into being this like huge horror fan, and I don't get it. Is it? Excuse me, Jesus. Is it because I will watch anything? And I don't care how gruesome it is. I don't care how uncomfortable it may make me. I'm not a fan of like the sex, torture, rape thing. Like, it's just not. I think I did back in January. I interviewed Jamie Byrnadette, and it was for I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. And I actually watched the OG, the original I Spit on Your Grave, and then I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu in the same day, back to back, like an hour between each other. I'm not really a fan of the whole like rape thing. And here's the I shouldn't be. That's a good thing. I shouldn't be. It makes me uncomfortable. But I just whatever. Like, it doesn't, to me at the end of the day, it's still a movie. Like I can separate and differentiate between the two. But I think, like, some of the friends I'm talking about, they just think, like, because I'll watch anything, I'm a diehard horror film fan, and that's not. I love horror films. Yeah, I do. I love all movies, really. I mean, I can't think of like, if you held a gun to my head, I guess maybe musicals, but I like musicals too. I mean, the new West Side Story made me sob. I tell you, made me sob, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to look at, so I can't even say like musicals. I like to watch everything. So anyway, the point I'm driving at right now is that, some of these cult classics, as it were, they fall through the cracks and I don't get around to see them. And then I do get around to see them, and I'm not bashing this film. So here's the disclaimer. I'm not bashing this film at all. In fact, I do find the premise kind of wacky and interesting, something to play around with, something that I think, I'm not a big fan of like the remakes or reboots or whatever, but I wouldn't be opposed to redoing this one because, like I said, I like the premise. For the most part, the execution's fine, but like this whole... I'm just trying to wrap my head around the Trauma Following, which is a production company. If you're not aware of them, give them a Goog. I'm not going through Trauma's history, but I think this is the first one that I've done on this show before. I've seen Trauma films before, obviously, because I'm a fucking psychopath and I watch everything. But I think this is the first one that I've done for the podcast, which is actually kind of strange. To be honest, but let's back up to the ranting that I was doing. Sometimes I don't understand why there is deep love for things, which, I mean, people could say the same shit about the stuff that I love. Like, well, I don't get it. Well, like for me, let's offend people right now. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Jackie Brown are my favorite Tarantino films. They see, I can tell there's a couple people who just jerk their car into the fucking ditch hearing that because they were so angry. But, like, but my point in saying that is that, like, none of it, you don't need to defend yourself for loving whatever you love. It's just however it impacted you, the time you saw it, what you were feeling. But for something like this, like, I have heard about this movie for years. As you see on your screen, your dial, however, you are choosing to join me today. I don't get it, but I appreciate you nonetheless. Surf Nazis must die. What'd you say? Surf Nazis must die. It was so great. I always do movie nights at my place, and one of my friends, she came over a little earlier, as she tends to do. I'll say fucking 6:45, and she shows up at 6:08 without fail. She's, I mean, I would much rather you be early than late, but like, I was about ready to hop in the shower, and you're here. Fuck, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Anyway, she came in, and in this particular case, I wasn't. I was moving towards getting to the shower, but I had a movie to finish. Before we did the one that everybody came over for, which was Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. Can you believe this? Can you believe this, gang, listening right now? 5 people I invited over. All 5 of them had not seen Shaun of the Dead. I don't know why. I found that to be fucking crazy. Like, to me, like, I guess I just thought Shaun of the Dead was like transcendent. Like everything, like if you were like a horror film or a horror fan at all, or a comedy fan, ow, I just fucking hit my goddamn funny bone, and it's not so funny. Ow! Okay, we're good. But I thought that I was shocked and dumbfounded that no one had seen Shaun of the Dead, which that's not a cult classic like we're talking about here. That I just thought that was a top 40 hit that everybody, like, if I would assume that anybody who had seen Walking Dead, which all 5 in the room had, would have seen Shaun of the Dead. Apparently, I'm a fool. I mean, I didn't need confirmation of that. I knew that, but I just love every day proving that I'm a goddamn idiot. Anyway, Surf Nazis must die. So for the most part, this film, there's a whole lot of and there's a whole lot to like, and there's a whole lot of shit that's way before its time. And I'll talk briefly about that because, like I said, no spoilers here. But this one, so I get to anyway. She comes in at 6:08 or whatever, and we are at probably the last 15 minutes of this film, and for those of you that have seen it, you know obviously what takes place. I mean, it's fireworks, essentially. Like, we definitely end with a bang, and she just looks at me, and she's just like, you watch the weirdest shit. Like, what is happening? What is happening right now? And I'm like, well, for starters, you're coming in on minute 80 of an 89-minute movie, or minute 70 of an 82-minute movie, or whatever. Like, you have no context to what you're seeing right now. Whereas me, it kind of bizarre in the sense that, like, we were getting to the point where I was actually kind of getting bored. Like, and again, like, I never fault a film. In most cases, I never fault a film for that. I always fault my own brain and whatever I'm dealing with on that particular day, because you got to keep in mind, when you have to watch movies for distributors and you don't necessarily get to watch movies for fun anymore, you kind of have to watch it with a critical eye. And no, I'm not a critic, but just so we're clear, I don't view myself as a critic, don't want to be a critic. I am a cheerleader and obsessed with movies. And that's all it is. Cheerleading and obsession. Period. End of list. So anyway, I was getting kind of bored when she walked in. Like, I was just like, okay, I got it. Okay, kind of a very sloppily put together beginning of the third act, whatever. It's a trauma film from fucking, what is this, like 89 or something? When did this come out? I have to know. Hang tight, gang. When did this come out? We got 87. So 1987. Surf Nazis must die. So funny. Like, I always used to see this case. I think I did. I don't know. Maybe I'm manufacturing my memories again because of old Sid Vicious. Old Sid Vicious has turned my brain into mush, I tell you. And I blame myself. I could have said no. They did a whole DARE program on that. But anyway, I don't know. I was getting kind of bored, and then she comes in, and it was fireworks, and she's just like, what is happening? And I'm like, you have no idea how great this is. You have no idea how great this ending is and how satisfying it finally is to see it. Because, like I said, once we get to, like, middle of Act 2, nearing end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3, it's a little muddled, a little fucking repetitive, redundant, whatever. And I was just kind of like, and I was getting at that point where I was like, I don't see the big hubbub about this whole fucking thing. Like, why do people find, is it just because the fucking surf Nazis are in it? Like, oh, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, it was, I guess. I mean, especially in 87, sure, I got it. But, like, I don't know. Like, that can't be the only hook. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for listen, Troma's not, they don't have tons of money or anything like that. Like I said, just give them a goog so you know who we're talking about here. So I get it from that aspect. I don't know. There's sometimes when you sit on films for too long that you're like, I'm going to watch, and then you don't, and then, you know, a fucking decade or two passes, and you finally fucking watch it, you know, it is what it is, babe. Like, some of the shit don't play as well as it could, you know, and that's fine. That's fine. I can still go back and watch old movies and appreciate them, but, like, sometimes, like, I think a lot of the gimmicks that made a certain, that gave a particular film notoriety, popularity, whatever, you know, times change. So the things that made it popular aren't necessarily, you know, I mean, I guess you could say, for lack of a better phrase, old hat when you see it in, you know, a 1987 film in 2022 for the first time may not play the way that, you know, it did back then. And I could see people just being like, just from the fucking title alone, they'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? I have to see it. I have to see what's going on. So what is Surf Nazis Must Die? Well, an earthquake leaves the California coastline in ruins. See, like I said, the premise of this, the idea of this is really, really good. I do, like, in terms of, like, a bananas horror flick. Like, calm down. I'm not saying it's fucking Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's List. I'm just, Schindler's List. Okay, I didn't mean that, but Nazis, right? No? All right, keep moving, John. An earthquake leaves the California coastline in ruins and reduces the beaches to a state of chaos. Of course it would. And if you don't think that that's going to happen within the next 20, if you live in California and you don't think that's going to happen within the next 20 years, you're a goose. You're a goose of the silly variety. A group of neo-Nazis led by Adolf, he's still alive. I'm just kidding. It's a character, but they call him Adolf. They call him Adolf, who's played by, you know what, let's do the cast real quick, because of course I couldn't, you know, the fucking information scattered all over the place. You got Brenner playing Adolf. A group of neo-Nazis led by Adolf, played by Brenner, the self-proclaimed Führer. But the promo notes that were sent to me, it says, so self-proclaimed Führer of the new beach, but this is how they spell it in the promo packet that they sent me. F-A, the fraction 1/4. That doesn't say the fraction. It's the fraction 1/4 H-R-E-R. So, I mean, if I were going to read it as the quarter of the new beach. So we're just going to go with the Führer of the new beach. Anyway, Adolf takes advantage of the resulting chaos, because why wouldn't you? If you're bad, you capitalize on it, right? Resulting chaos by fighting off several rival surfer gangs to seize control of the beaches. Let's talk about that for a second. Did I miss something, guys, people that have seen this? Did we give names to the other surfer gangs? Did I miss that part? Because, like, I feel like the only thing that I remember was, like, the samurai surfers, or the surfing samurai. Hold on, let me check to see, because I feel like that was, like, the only one that I heard. Oh, nope, this is for another podcast I did, so wrong notes. Perfect. We're doing great. We're doing great on the show right now. Nope, wrong folder. All right, let's go to the notes here. Surf Nazis must die. Beautiful. I think it's like the samurai surfers or something. Hold on, let me... No. Man, I took way too much notes on this one. Why? I think I was just like fucking... I kept waiting for like samurai surfers. And then we also have Tyranny of the Tide, but I couldn't tell you which one of those guys they were. Was it the guys with like the splatter paint on the black shirts? Or was it the bro dudes with the sunglasses and the fucking cool car? But I kept on like taking notes like, all right, some of this shit's gonna fucking come back right round. You should probably have a little sidebar for this. Nope, nothing. This movie. Anyway, I mean, like I said, did I miss the part where they said... Because I had to Google to find samurai surfers. I don't remember the part in the film, and I could have missed it. Like, that, just so we're clear, I'm not saying that it wasn't mentioned. It probably was. The fact of the matter is that the bite radius on the victim does not match the bite. And I don't know why I just switched into Dreyfus from Jaws, but... what was I? Oh yeah, the Tyranny of the Tide. I would bet my paycheck that I never heard Tyranny of the Tide said out loud as one of the rival gang names. Anyone? Oh, that's right. I'm talking to myself. But I'm serious. Like I feel like you say rival gangs, and I think there's 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them, 3. I don't know. I don't think we talk about them. Like, we just kind of like form our own conclusion. Anyway, the Japanese gang was pretty hilarious, doing kung fu at sunrise, getting ready for the final battle. Takes place on the beach. I swear, like, there's parts of this film where I'm just like, so we were like, hey, we need 4 of you. We're gonna go on the beach and we're gonna do some mock kung fu. And you want to know the funny thing? I mean, don't get me wrong, like, the kung fu was terrible, but I kind of like the idea of how the fight incites, or how the fight is incited, and how, like, it begins. Like, I mean, it is as ridiculous as people surfing, and they surf ashore, and then the fight begins. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, the idea of a surfer being like, it's go time. I got to catch this wave right quick, and we're going to go right up to the shore and beat ass. Like, that is kind of wacky and funny. I don't know. I thought it was. Anyway, who please DM me and tell me the names of all the rival surfer gangs. Now, just full disclosure, I'm no longer on social media. Well, personally, I'm not on social media. And just the Ellis Cinema page, I think, on IG and Twitter is all that remains. Obviously, you can... Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find me. But if I take a little while to respond, it's because I've deleted all the fucking apps off my phone. And it has no other reason to do with I work full-time, I go to school full-time, and I do this podcast more than part-time but less than full-time. So I decided a while back, I was like, literally for the next 14 months, the only time that you need to be using your phone for, unless it's a phone call or a text message or something, is for research purposes. Because I'm, an ex-addict, and if somebody sends me a reel or some shit, some fucking video on Snapchat or whatever the fuck, I can't help myself but to spend bare minimum 10 minutes, maximum 50 minutes fucking scrolling or sending videos back or what. I'm a piece of shit. So that's why. But the big reason is that I need to maximize every bit of time that is given my way. And instead of, like, you got to do what you got to do. I couldn't trust myself. Before you know it, I've been scrolling the fucking news feed for 45 minutes, watching Facebook videos and whatever the fuck. And I was just like, wait a minute, your homework's not done on both sides of the fence, school and cinema. What are you doing? Now, just a side note, part of the rant, I can say unequivocally, in the couple weeks that I haven't been on social media, might be longer than a couple weeks now, maybe a month, that I haven't been on social media, I 100% gang can feel a difference in my brain. 100%. I know that a lot of you youngins that listen to this show don't want to hear that. 100%. Like, the idea that I don't need to grab my phone, like, and it was subconscious. I never like thought to myself, oh, you don't need to grab your phone because you don't have social media anymore. I don't do that. I know that I don't have social media anymore, so the tendency, the want to grab my phone isn't there anymore. You know, like, and I've said this before on the show, like, if somebody dies, like, I hate that fucking, like, oh, well, you got to have a phone in case of emergency. What if somebody dies? Well, if somebody dies, they're still going to be dead when I get to my phone 2 hours later. Me having the phone on me in that exact moment means nothing. Now, if it was an emergency and somebody needed your help, well, yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, and yeah, that would be one of the pitfalls, but I kind of feel better mentally. I really do. And, like, I'm not going to say I'm fucking wine and roses, but, like, the attention span has already changed. And we're only talking weeks. And I can tell that my attention span and my emotions, my knee-jerk reactions have changed. 100%. And that's only a couple weeks. Can't wait. So my idea is that once this 14 months is up and I'm out of my shit, and, you know, like, I'll have a little bit more time on my hands. Like, I'll make the decision then whether I'm going to come back to social media or not. I can tell you, close to a month in, it's not happening. I'll never. I hated it to begin with. I think it's bad for you. I think it changes your brain chemistry in a way far more negative than positive. Oh, we get to stay connected. You can do that with a text message. You can do that with a phone call. A phone call? Blasphemy! Nope, I still call people. The funny thing about that is half of them I can tell are just like, God damn it, why does he always have to call? They do pick up, kudos to them. And then the other half, I think they've come around to it. Like, they're just like, oh, Sean doesn't want to text 15 fucking paragraphs. He'd rather just call me and make it a 2-minute phone call instead of a fucking 45-minute text message exchange. So, guess what? I'm still in the loop. I haven't lost. What are we? Surf Nazis. Surf Nazis must die. Jesus Christ, Sean. Fuck. Why do you always... Maybe you should just do a show about nothing. You should be the Seinfeld of podcasts. Just observational humor, because that's totally original. Oh, the FA quarter HRER... The fear of the new beach takes advantage of resulting chaos by fighting off several... That's right. We fucking sidewinded because of the surfer gangs. Because I was like, I don't think I heard that shit. And then you Google it, and there's two. When you read this, I don't know. Meanwhile, an African-American oil well worker named Leroy... Did we explicitly say that? Like, did we know that he was an... Man, I feel like I missed some parts of this movie, and I was sober as a fucking judge. I don't even know why I say that anymore. I don't like that phrase because the odds of all judges being sober, I don't believe it anymore. I don't trust the government no more, man. Just can't trust him. Can't trust him as far as you can throw him, right? Oh, Jesus. Meanwhile, an African-American oil worker named Leroy Jenkins, no, it's Leroy Harden, actually, is killed by the surf Nazis while jogging on the beach. Leroy's mother, Mama Washington, played by Gail Neely, who was saved the film. Gail Neely saved this film. And I thought her contribution, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, literally 40 years ahead of its time, 30 years ahead of its time. It's ahead of its time now. Well, to a certain degree. You'll have to pick this one up and see what I'm talking about. Is killed by surf Nazis while jogging on the beach. Leroy's mother, Mama Washington, devastated by the loss of her son, vows revenge. I will get my revenge. After arming herself with a handgun and grenades, she breaks out of her retirement home and exacts vengeance on the surf Nazis. Well, some of that's true. She doesn't break out of the fucking retirement home. She just fucking leaves. Nobody holds her there. Not one person tries to hold her there because they can't. She's Mama Washington. So you want to know what's funny about this? This is a cult classic, right? If you go and you do a little research, so Rotten Tomatoes, which usually, I'm not a Rotten Tomatoes hater like a lot of people in the game are. So, but I did notice this. This is the synopsis on Rotten Tomatoes. An angry mother, played by Bobbie Bresee. That is so wrong. Bobbie Bresee does not play the angry mother who hunts neo-Nazi surfers for killing her son in a California of the near future. It's not her at all. I think, who did Bobbie Bresee play? She played Smeg's mom. Like, she's in it for like 8 minutes total. So, Rotten Tomatoes, get your shit together. Gail Neely plays Eleanor, Mama Washington. Robert Harden, who's in it for 4 seconds, plays Leroy. Barry Brenner plays Adolf. Dawne Wildsmith plays Ava. I thought she was good. Probably my favorite character, with the exception of Gail Neely, with the exception of Mama Washington, played by Gail Neely. Probably Michael Sonye, or Sonye. Michael Sonye, who plays Mengele. His face is creepy. His execution of his character is good enough for this particular piece that I thought I kept on waiting. In fact, like, selfishly, I wanted a showdown between Mama Washington and Mengele. You have Joel Hile, who plays Hook. And you want to know how he got that name? Because he's got a hook for a hand. You got Ryan Fegley, who plays lame skater Nazi. Gene Mitchell, who plays Brutus. Tom Shell, who plays Smeg. Bobbie Bresee plays Smeg's mom, or if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, she's the fucking hero of the film, apparently. Jordan Breyer's cool skater girl. Okay, I think all of these people are. Terry Lee plays Yang. Dennis Foon plays Wang. John Willamette plays Mex. Rand Hogan plays Teeth. Steve Reed plays Yin. Brian Krutoff plays Curl. And so, who do we got? Our writers for this one is Jon Ayre and Peter George. Peter George, also our director of this piece. What else has Peter George done? Well, IMDb can no longer be trusted anymore and is fucking up, so that's cool. But yes, directed, I believe the original story was by Peter George, and Jon Ayre wrote the screenplay. But yeah, Peter George, our director, and I would say my favorite part of the film. Jesus Christ. This is why I need a producer to fucking be throwing this shit up on the fucking screen. Original music composed and performed by John MacCallum. It was my favorite part. There's some riffs. There's some 80s riffs in this that I thought were great. Now, because, like I said, I know it sounds like I'm banging on this movie. I'm not. A lot of it just has to do with, like, the surfer gangs. Did we hear several of their names? Because I don't fucking remember. But anyway, produced by Lloyd Kaufman. If you don't know who Lloyd Kaufman is, give it a goog, baby. Give it a goog. And in fact, on this particular Blu-ray release, there's I want to say like a minute and a half, 2-minute fucking video where he introduces surf Nazis for you. You can't skip it. You can't fast forward. You can't go to the menu screen. And because, just because of my schedule, it's hard for me to, not so much anymore because I'm finally fucking kind of finding my footing with full-time job, full-time school, and the podcast. I'm finding my footing. But for this one in particular, I must have turned it on, 3 or 4 times and kind of chipped away at it. And you have to listen to him babble for 2 minutes every single time. Just this crazy, Surf Nazis was remastered on this brand new Blu-ray disc. And I'm like, oh my God, I fucking got it, Lloyd. I fucking got it. Anyway, art direction, and because there are things that I did really like about this. So we got art direction and original costume designed by Byrnadette de Santo, which I thought was really good. Edited by Craig A. Colton. Director of photography is Rolf Kestermann. Rolf Kestermann. And then, like I said, original music by John MacCallum, which I just thought was really fucking good. Based on the original story by Peter George and Jon Ayre, and screenplay by Jon Ayre, directed by Peter George. Worth a watch. If you took one thing from this podcast, one thing from this particular episode, I would be down to see this one again, redone. Redux. Apocalypto. Or no, Apocalypse Now Redux. I would be down for that one. Surf Nazis Must Die from Trauma Entertainment. Ellis Cinema. Surfing with Nazis Wants to Die. You can get this one right now, as you do.